Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel of mprooks.com. My name is Mike. I'm the moderator in the series of videos that is all about handmade carpets from around the world. Welcome you to our channel. Hope you and your family are doing well. In today's episode, I want to feature a very classic, very popular type of tribal rug and also showcase a very unique pure silk variation. So if you're into tribal rugs, whether it's the Persian ones or whether you have seen others from, like, for example, Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, or as I featured in some of them, like from the Caucasus region, this is about not only one of the most popular types of tribal rugs, known as the Meshkin carpets, but what is unique about this video is I'm going to be featuring a tribal rug that is actually, that we have just gotten here. This is an older piece. It's pure silk. And that is something that the tribal rugs are typically not famous for. So if you're into tribal rugs, please watch this video, as there's going to be, I'm not only going to be showcasing these two pieces, but I'm also going to be showcasing a rug that one of our viewers sent me pictures of, which actually is kind of inspired me to do this video. This is a rug that was sent to me by Josh, and he asked me if I could identify this rug and give him a little bit of info about it. And after looking at the picture as well as the others that he sent me and talking to my family, we all pretty much came to the conclusion it's not only a great example of what the tribal Meshkin rugs are all about, but it also basically inspired me to do this video. So in this video, it's going to be all about the Meshkin rugs. And to basically get started, the tribal rugs known as Meshkin, they come from the northwestern part of Iran. Basically, if you were to look at a map, you see the map of Iran, you see the Caspian Sea to the north, and right there, west of the Caspian Sea, there is this area. It's known as the Ardabil province. And the greater area of it is basically known as Azerbaijan. And this is, for example, also where my mother's side of the family is from. They speak Azeri, which is kind of like a Turkish Persian mix. I think it's 60-70% Turkish with 30% Persian. And so the Azeri people, as basically the folks call themselves from the Azerbaijan area. And the Ardabil province is one of the areas that makes up this larger area known as Azerbaijan in Iran. And so, but when you look at them, you will notice that they are tribal. These are nomadic people. And Ardabil is kind of like, it actually hits home for me, being that my home, proud to be from Colorado, even though born and raised in Germany. But what is beautiful about the whole region of where these types of rugs are made in Iran, in the Ardabil region, is that the region actually reminds me of my home in Colorado. If you look at a picture of, this is the Ardabil province. This is where these rugs were made, in the Meshkin Shar region of the Ardabil region. I just went on Google and I saw these pictures and I was like, wait a minute. This is Ardabil and this is Colorado Springs. This was literally what my view used to be out of my bedroom window. We have Pikes Peak in Colorado and you have a beautiful mountain range in Ardabil. And I was like, wow, this is just kind of like home. And so it's a very special thing for me personally, being that I'm kind of I like the outdoors, the mountains and everything, which is why when I'm here in Hamburg in Germany, helping my family run our business, I kind of feel like a fish out of the water. But to get back to the Meshkin Rooks, this is a classic type of carpet that you would expect to see from the tribal regions, from the greater Caucasus region, that you can see the similarities here between these types of tribal rugs and many of the other types that I have featured in my other videos and everything as well. And these are typically carpets that are made wool. Then you also have wool foundation. Sometimes in the old days, they also use cotton. You have cotton foundation, but in the old days, I'm sorry, they used to use wool, sometimes goat hair. We have also seen a few times actually use camel hair. So it's extremely rare, but generally speaking, these are beautiful wool rugs. They're made with a Turkish knot. These are the types of rugs that are really inexpensive, and they have that beautiful with the Kazakh design and everything, typically made by nomads or from folks in small villages. Generally speaking, even nowadays, they're still being made with oftentimes 100% vegetable dyes. That is why when you look at the colors, you don't have pieces that have 20 or 30 different types of colors in their rugs. These are typically maybe 10 different colors, and they tend to be earthly colors. And that's how you can tell that these are very, like I said, vegetable dyes, very strong wool, great material. So if you're looking at a tribal rug, if you're just looking at inexpensive types of Persian rugs, the Meshkin rugs is something I can definitely recommend. These are typically not as expensive, and just so that you know, I also oftentimes do not feature them in my website, being that I kind of specialize in the high-end types of Persian rugs, and I have clients from all over the world. It honestly, sometimes on some of these rugs, they're fairly inexpensive. And so if I were to ship this kind of carpet from Europe to Asia or to the United States, this shipping just wouldn't make sense. And I'm not the kind of person who's just simply going to add zeros behind the amounts and then charge people. So I told you, in my opinion, you are if you're looking at these types of wool tribal rugs, you can do very well looking at local sites. Also on the internet nowadays, you can find a lot of these, because again, these are not as difficult to make. And so as a result, these are the types of carpets that oftentimes are made in the small homes of the like I said, in the tribal communities and everything. This is something that, and this is a typical scenario. I'm not trying to be in any shape or form chauvinistic or anything, but most of the weavers who make these types of rugs are housewives. They are the stay-at-home mothers who in their spare time will also make these types of rugs. Unfortunately, that is what it is. I would obviously love to see also men stay home. Like I was a stay-at-home dad and I loved every moment of it. But unfortunately, in these types of cultures, still male dominated, most of the carpet weaving is actually done by women. And this is the type of carpet that you would typically find in homes being made where, you know, like I said, the wife would go in and weave the carpets while the men go out and about and do whatever it is that they do work-wise. But every once in a while, you also get beautiful exceptions, like in this case. This is an actual pure silk piece. This is extremely, extremely rare. This is pure silk. It was made, it is a Meshkin. So it has a tribal feel, and when I get, as I always do, behind the camera, and I'm going to showcase this rug. I'm going to get behind the camera a little bit and show you some of the features, because pure silk is generally not a material that you find in the tribal rugs. In the tribal rugs, it's all about wool rugs, and it's all about basically creating carpets that are also utilized. These are used, whether it is in small villages, small homes, farmers, nomads. These are people, hardworking people. But when you go into the homes of nomads, for example, or in the small villages, oftentimes very poor people. I mean, these are folks where a pure silk rug is just not, it's not even something that they really would be considering. This right here is an extremely rare find, but they do make them. So when I got the picture of the runner that Josh had, and again, this runner that he has is very much aligned with the runner that I have just put up, that we have here in the warehouse. He wanted to know if, you know, my thoughts on it, and what he did was he watched the video that I have a link to in the description below. It's a video as part of our channel for those of you that are into Persian rugs. As our channel keeps growing, I'm making myself available to you. And part of what I do is like I said, this is not something where I'm not trying to market myself or anything. But if you have, for example, like he did, he has a beautiful rug in his home. He just simply wanted to know whether it's a genuine Persian rug and what I thought of it and everything. So he watched the video, like I said, link below in the description, that showed him what type of pictures I need and what size they need to be in. He took the pictures, emailed them to me, and based on the pictures that he sent me, again, there's one that's basically of the whole piece. Then, as I always do, I always tell you folks, if you can, send me a picture of the corner, as you can see from the top, and one from the back. The front and back of the corner tells me a lot about the condition of the rug. It tells me the type of fringes, the knots, and it's actually very useful. Now, oftentimes I always ask folks that if you're asking me what type of quality you have, you do me a favor, attach a picture with a ruler. In his case, there was no need for it. These tribal rugs are not really designed to have a high knot count. Again, these are utility rugs. This is like a solid pair of jeans. This is not something that was designed to last 100 or 200 years. These were designed to last 40, 50 years, and they were fairly inexpensive. Now, in these cases, you actually have pieces like Josh's piece, like the two that you see here. You actually do have rugs that are very old, but this was an oddity. These were not meant, well, with the silk one, of course, being an exception. The silk one here was obviously a pure silk rug. It was probably displayed on the wall for many decades. So this is not a rug that people would walk on. But the old piece that we have, or in the case of Josh's runner, these are meshkins that are supposed to be used and abused. And so it's really rare to find them in this great conditioning and everything. But like I said, it was his runner that inspired me to do the video here. And so now, as I always do, I'm going to get behind the camera because I do want to show you, for those of you that are into the tribal rugs, you're going to love to see the close-ups of this pure silk, just like a piece of art. And again, for those of you that have questions, as I mentioned earlier, I have the video below. I have the link in the description. Feel free to email me any questions that you have. Please be mindful of the size of the pictures. I do my best to answer them as our channel just keeps growing. It's just been absolutely phenomenal. For those of you that have left me all the great feedback and everything, I cannot thank you enough. I love doing this. It's been a great way for me to also get to know folks that are also passionate about Persian rugs. So feel free to hit the subscribe button. I typically also upload about 1 or 2 videos a week or 2. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get behind the camera, show you the details of the silk rug, and then I'm going to come back to you later on and say my final goodbyes. So I'm going to see you again here in just a little bit. So here I'm back again from behind the camera, and as I'm just going to walk up to this pure silk masterpiece. It's just absolutely amazing to see such a rare tribal rug. And again, the tribal rugs, as you can see here with the runner, this is what you would expect to see. This is a classic Meshkin. Could also be, like I said, these are also sometimes sold as Ardabil, but really just beautiful pieces. This is what you expect to see. You have a wool carpet, as you can see here. These are tightly knotted, but very, very strong. Even though these look like, I mean, like I said, with the high-end Persian rugs, you have much tighter knots, much smaller knots. Here, these are actually very tight knots, but they are larger knots. This is a much thicker type of wool. But again, really classic pieces. This is what you would typically expect to see in a typical classic and an older Meshkin. But then you have the pure silk piece right here, and you can just see how the silk shines. Now, one of the things, there's 2 types of knots. You have in this case, you have the Turkish knot, but sometimes with the pure silk tribal rugs, when you do find them, for example, there's also the verni that I have talked about. They oftentimes incorporate a kelim along the borders. So right here you have a kelim, and it is along the entire rug. Then along inside the kelim, so we have the kelim, then you have the pure silk. And when you flip it over, you can see how the kelim is woven. This is, it's almost like a stitching. It's a very different type of knottage. It's a very different type of weave. But then you have right here very, very fine, very detailed knots. And so this is a very, very rare piece. This is something where, for example, just so that you know, for those of you, in case you're wondering, you can see how over the decades, and this is typical, how this has thinned out. Well, when we come, we're going to have this rug restored. And what we do is, when we do the restoration, we don't want to add anything to the rug. Instead, what we're going to be doing, for example, is we're going to be removing basically all of the fringes here, and then we're going to close it all off. And this way, the rug will stay, the condition of the rug will stay as is, and the rug will not come undone. And this is what we're going to be doing along the top and the bottom. But again, this is all about preserving what there is. Instead of basically, there are some people, what they would do is they would go out and find themselves silk that matches in age and everything, and then they would try to actually weave fringes into the pile. That's one way to restore a rug, but to us, that's not really restoring a rug. It's basically, it's altering a rug. A rug should stay as is. And while it is, you know, I mean, obviously we can also leave it like this right here. but it's not something that I think we're afraid of like in 10, 20 years when someone has it, that these are literally going to come undone. And then obviously now you're talking about the rug itself being damaged, the kalim and everything. And it's such a rare piece. This is such a beautiful, beautiful, unique type of kalim tribal rug. This is almost like, you'll see the pure silk, the mashats. This is an extremely, extremely fine piece. And so I just wanted to showcase this rug for those of you that are into the Persian rugs. Here you're looking at a rug that you typically don't find. This is something that you would expect to see almost like in a fine rug gallery or even at a museum exhibition or something like that. And so I hope you enjoyed the close-ups. Again, there's a lot of information about Meshkin rugs available on the internet. And so hope this part of it worked well for you. I'm going to come back to you now and just say my quick goodbyes. So there's our video about the Meshkin rugs. I want to thank Josh for allowing me to use his pictures. Hope this video is of help to you. Again, if you like our channel, feel free to subscribe, and there is lots of information below in the description. As always, I wish you and your family the very best. I'm going to be coming back to you with many more videos to come. Until then, take care and best wishes. Bye-bye.